Welcome, friends. Let me share my thoughts about the Nakshatra Siddhant. This is popularly called as a Navatara also. I first came across it in the Satyajatakam, where it appears as one of the rules to assess a chart. You can see that in Satyajatakam, it appeared as rule number 3. So it is just one of the rules to judge a horoscope. But this is often extracted out of the context and presented as like a standalone magic bullet. But let's first look at what the Navatara or the Nakshatra Siddhant is. So let me read the rule as it is given by sage Satyachar. Counting from one's natal chart, the different stars have the following names according to their numerical order. So the first one, which is your birth star, the where the moon is, your Janma Nakshatra, which is called as Janmatara. So that's given the numerical order as 1. So 1 is Janmatara, second is the Sampat Tara, third is the Vipat Tara, fourth is the Shem Tara, fifth is Pratyari, sixth is Sadak, 7 is the Vadtara, 8th is the Mitra Tara, and 9th is the Param Mitra Tara. Because of all these Tara and Nakshatra, it looks a little complicated, but actually it's very simple. So let me share something that's going to make this thing very clear and simple to you. Now, if someone is born with his Janma Nakshatra as any one of the nakshatra of Saturn, let's say Uttar Bhadrapad, Pushya or Anuradha. These are 3 nakshatra of the Saturn. So if somebody has the moon in one of these stars that are ruled by Saturn, so your Janma or the birth star becomes a nakshatra that is ruled by Saturn. Then the second one, the Sampat, the ruler for which the nakshatra ruler will become Mercury. So this order is pretty much what you see in the Vishottari dasha, right? So you don't have to actually look into all these the nakshatra. All you have to do is look where your moon is, find out the Janma Nakshatra and find out the ruler. And then you can create an order the way it has been shown over here, where Saturn is the Janma Nakshatra, and after that, just as in the order of Vishottari, rest of the ruler they follow. And so Saturn, Mercury, Ketu, Venus, and so on. Now each of these the nakshatra or the tara, they have a specific label. You see, the very first one is called the birth, second is the sampat, which means the wealth, third is the vipat, which means a danger, then the shame, which means the well-being, and then you have pratyak, which means obstacle. And so from the name it's clear that what these particular stars are going to do in your horoscope. And we are not concerned with the star, we are just concerned with the star lord. So let's say if somebody is born with Saturn as the ruler of the birth star, then the Ketu becomes the Vipattara, or the nakshatra or the tara that has a label danger. And then Venus becomes shame, and then the sun becomes obstacle or the pratyak. So this is how you assign all these rulers to the Navatara chakra, and this is all these labels are in turn assigned to these planets. Now these labels, and some of them have a very dramatic name, like the third Tara, or the third uh, uh, the dasha planet from your birth dasha planet is the Vipat, which means that the third dasha in the Vishottari dasha timeline is going to bring about the danger. For example, in this particular table, if somebody is born with the Saturn as the birth star ruler, then his or her Ketu dasha is going to be bad. Venus dasha is going to be good, 20 years, and Sun dasha is again going to be bad. So, but I don't think the things usually work that way, right? And in 20 years of Venus dasha for a person born in, or for anybody who is born with Saturn as the ruler of the birth star, it's not guaranteed that the all 20 years of Venus dasha is going to bring about a well-being, right? And again, if you carefully notice all these labels and the way they have been distributed, then you can easily see that if, let's assume, somebody is born with in one of these stars, right? The birth star is Rudra, Swati, or Shatabhisha. Should be Shatabhisha. It's ruled by Rahu. So that means that Rahu becomes the Janma Tara, or the Janma star. So which is good. And then after Rahu, the next one will be Jupiter. So Jupiter becomes the second. That means the wealth. And then Saturn becomes the third one, right? So then it becomes the Vipat star, indicating the danger. But the Rahu dasha and Jupiter dasha, that alone is going to be like at least 35 years or so. So at the time of birth, if somebody is born right at the beginning of the Rahu Nakshatra, then that person is going to have a very nice period for the next 30-35 years. So that's also not practical. That's not the way we see these things work out. In fact, this is Rahu, then Jupiter, and then Saturn, actually. Yeah, Rahu becomes your the first one, and the Jupiter becomes the second one, and after that, when Saturn comes, then Saturn becomes the third one. So the third one then brings the danger, right? So this is a very gross kind of labeling, and in practically we don't see this kind of thing working in a person's life. Let's take this example of the Amitabh Bachchan, the superstar of the Hindi film industry. Let's take his chart as an example. So I've just mentioned the degree of the moon for these birth particulars, which I got from the internet, and I've also mentioned about the sun, because at one time when we were playing around and experimenting with the Navtara, at that time we were also looking the whole Navatara or the Nakshatra Siddhant distribution from the star that was occupied by sun, as well as from moon, and even we went further and we were looking into the Lagna star as well, plus all the stars of the planet that the planets were deposited into. The idea was just to try to expand the scope of the Navatara Chakra, or the Nakshatra Siddhant Chakra, and just to find out if this could work out as a standalone method to assess a horoscope. Now, if you look at the Amitabh's chart, now if from the moon's nakshatra, this is the layout. Rahu becomes the Janma nakshatra, and Jupiter becomes the Sampat, and so on. This is just a dasha order. And from the sun, you find that the Janma nakshatra becomes Mars, and Sampat and all that becomes Rahu. So if you look at the Saturn dasha of Amitabh, and if you just take the very classic rule which says look from the moon's star, then the Saturn dasha indicates vipat, or the danger, right? And from the moon, and from the sun, if you look from the sun, so from the sun, the Saturn dasha becomes shame or well-being. So from the moon it becomes bad, and from the sun it becomes good. But we'll just focus on the moon. Now, if you look at the various things that happened during the Saturn dasha, so he got married at that time, he raised his family, he had kids, and then he also bought the iconic bungalow, the Pratiksha, and in 1982 he had he had a very bad accident, and he was almost going to die while he was shooting for that film Coolie. And then in 1982 the same film was also released. By that time he discharged from the hospital. So in Saturn Dasha, he had all kinds of ups and downs, all kind of I would say trial and tribulation, success and failure. Same Dasha in Saturn Dasha. So even if you look from the moon, then the Saturn is a danger. But Saturn Dasha was not dangerous at all from every point of view. Right? There were so many good things that happened, so many bad things, and I think he gave many blockbuster movies during that time and super flop movies as well. And similarly, if you look from the sun's if nakshatra, and then Saturn becomes all well-being, that's also not true, because he met with that accident. And another thing is that many events in a person's life, they do not happen all the time very sequentially. Sometimes, two parallel things might be happening in a person's life, and one thing might be bad and second thing might be good. And for example, when Amitabh was fighting for his life after the accident, so at one point he was fighting for his life, and when he was discharged from the hospital and was recovering, at that time his film was released, that Kohli film, and it became a super duper hit. So one bad thing and one good thing happening parallelly. So these kind of thing you can't possibly assess using the just the Navtara or the Nakshatra Siddhant. So the scope of these kind of theories are not, I would say, they are not going to take you too far, and you can just play around with them, and at one point you realize that they will not take you too far in assessing a horoscope. So here is the my summary based on our experiment that we did with the Navtara. We found that this is a too broad and very simplistic kind of a method, and it is not capable of helping for any detailed horoscope reading. And I remember when we were experimenting with Navtara and the Nakshatra Siddhant, then we realized that if all the theories that tend to not make use of a horoscope, ascendant, and the 12 houses and all that, these theories, they don't work. They don't have any depth, and they don't help you in making a good reading of the horoscope. And there are many such theories, and those are popular, and some of those I'm going to quote here. You see, all these theories, they don't make use of the horoscope or the ascendant. The Navtara is one that we just discussed. Same is with the Bhrigunandi Nadi. I made a video on the Bhrigunandi Nadi that you can find on my channel. And the results of the transit is also very generic, because the if you don't make use of this specific horoscope, a person's horoscope, to analyze the transit result, it's not going to work. Just saying that Jupiter in Aries will do this, or Saturn in Libra will do this, it doesn't make much sense. And same is with the Muhurt also. So, and I have on my mind that I'm going to create some video on the transit and how it should be tied up to the a person's chart. And I'm going to do that from the Krishnamurti Paddhati point of view. And Muhurt is also one of the very interesting thing, and that I'm planning to do a video on the Muhurt also. So I would say that the horoscope reading, when it comes to the horoscope reading, then the Parashar and the KP, both are very well structured for an in-depth study, and they provide a far more better approach. So if you have to invest time in these two methods, and rather than going for these magic bullet kind of things that are not going to be very helpful. And I'm also planning a video on the Amitabh Bachchan's horoscope, and I'm going to analyze that horoscope using the Krishnamurti Paddhati, and I'll upload it when it is ready. Thanks for watching.